Okay, so let's unpack this. I want you to mentally transport yourself back to the year 2010.
Oh, man, what an era.
Right. The radio is just absolutely dominated by a very specific sound. You have Lady Gaga at her absolute peak. David Guetta is everywhere, and everything is just, it's high energy. Everything is polished to within an inch of its life.
Oh, heavily polished, the whole electropop explosion.
Exactly. And then right in the middle of all that, this track drops. It's got this thumping house beat. It's got these incredibly catchy, slightly naughty lyrics, and it just takes over the clubs. The song is Dirty Talk, and the artist is Wynter Gordon.
Yeah, it was unavoidable that summer. Honestly, if you stepped foot in a club or even just turned on the radio in Australia or the UK, you heard this bass line. It captures that 2010 zeitgeist perfectly.
It really does.
Yeah.
But here is the thing that absolutely blows my mind, and it's the entire reason we are dedicating a deep dive to this specific track today.
Yeah.
This massive global anthem, this song that went triple platinum in Australia and topped the U.S. Billboard dance charts, it was literally a joke.
That is the hook, isn't it? That's what makes this so fascinating. We tend to view the music industry, especially that era of high-gloss pop, as this massive machine of calculation.
Right, like focus groups and algorithms.
Exactly. We imagine boardrooms and teams of Swedish songwriters doing actual math to find the perfect melody. But Dirty Talk is a case study in the complete opposite. It is a case study in pure, unadulterated spontaneity.
It is the ultimate happy accident. So today, our mission is to figure out exactly how that happened. We've got a great setup for you. We are going to look at the history, the production notes, the chart performance data, and the critical reception.
All of it.
Yeah, all to understand how Wynter Gordon went from being a behind-the-scenes songwriter to a global pop star, basically by goofing around.
And to really appreciate the accident, we have to understand the context of who Wynter Gordon was before the song dropped, because she wasn't some random person off the street.
No, not at all.
She was very much entrenched in the industry, just not holding the microphone herself.
Right, she was a songwriter, and not just trying to make it songwriter.
Yeah.
The sources show she was writing for heavy hitters. We are talking Mary J. Blige.
Which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Writing for the queen of hip-hop soul requires a level of emotional depth and seriousness. It is not something you do lightly. It's heavy, serious R&B.
And she also had a feature on Flo Rida's track Sugar back in 2009.
Which was a big song, sure. But being the hook girl on a rapper's track is a very specific lane.
It's a stepping stone.
Exactly. It gets your voice out there, but it doesn't necessarily tell the audience who you are as an individual artist. And the source material suggests she was really struggling with that.
She hadn't found her own lane yet.
Right. She was bouncing around genres, doing the R&B writing, doing the pop features. She was searching.
Until she walked into a session with Nicole Morier. Yeah. And this is where the story gets really, really human for me.
Oh, totally.
Because usually when we read about these breakthrough sessions in music biographies, it's framed as this moment of intense artistic clarity. You know, sweat, tears, a sudden realization of destiny.
The classic eureka moment.
Yes. But this sounds like a sleepover. According to the interviews Gordon gave later to Atlantic Records, this wasn't some high-pressure environment. They weren't sitting there stressing about writing a #1 hit.
No, they were literally goofing around. Gordon is quoted saying, "It came about when my friend and I were in the studio just joking, laughing, and pulling up words on the computer from different sites."
Just pause on that image for a second.
Sure.
They are sitting in a professional recording studio, which is probably costing a fair bit of money per hour.
Oh, thousands.
Right. And they're Googling random words to make each other laugh.
It sounds like a game, and that playful energy is absolutely crucial here. Gordon explicitly stated, it was meant to be more of a joke than a real song.
A joke. And Nicole Morier, the co-writer, backed this up in an interview with Hit Quarters. She said they were just being silly. They set out to simply think of, quote, sexy things.
But here's where the accident becomes art. Even though the intent was silly, the craft was still there. Morier noted that despite the joking around, she realized the melody they were humming was actually really catchy. She explicitly said, "I love the chorus."
That's the magic, isn't it? You lower your inhibitions because you're just joking, and suddenly you accidentally write a killer hook because you aren't overthinking every single note.
It happens more often than you'd think in creative fields. When you remove the pressure of having to write serious art, you access a totally different part of your creativity. You tap into something more primal, more fun.
And for a club track, fun is the only metric that matters.
If it's not fun, it doesn't work on a dance floor, period.
So they have this product of goofing around. And the result is Dirty Talk. Let's talk about the song itself, because if you listen to it with this backstory in mind, it makes so much more sense.
It really does. Musically, it's defined as electropop and dance pop, backed by this driving house beat produced by Jupiter Ace.
It is very 2010.
Extremely. But lyrically, well, it's a list.
It is a literal list. It's a list of the Google search terms they were probably looking at. I have to read some of these because the Digital Spy Review called them out specifically. We've got kitten heels, lingerie pantyhose, foreplay.
It's not exactly Shakespeare, is it? But it's rhythmic.
It is a shopping list for a wild night out. The Digital Spy reviewer Robert Copsey gave it 4 out of 5 stars, by the way. He described it as naughty and said she purrs over club beats bouncier than a space hopper.
That is a very British description. A space hopper.
I love that visual. Space hopper. But my absolute favorite part of that review is when he talks about the chorus. She's singing, "I'm no angel." And then she starts requesting things. She wants a blindfold. She wants hot wax.
It gets quite specific, quite fast.
It does. And the reviewer writes, "Oh, love, we get it. You don't live your life like a nun."
Which is funny, but it also speaks to exactly why the song worked. It wasn't subtle. It was a straight-up club track, to quote the About.com review.
Right.
They called it down and dirty and praised the production for being fun and bouncy. It did a really good job of getting listeners into the groove. It knew exactly what it was.
However, not everyone was ready for exactly what it was. And here is where it gets really interesting. Because apparently the joke was a little too dirty for some people. Did you know there's a censored version?
The UK edit, yes. This is a fascinating detail from the release history.
So in the United States, we got the song as is, hot wax and all. But for the UK release, the lyrics actually had to be re-recorded.
Because the sexual nature was deemed too rude for daytime radio.
Too rude. They had to go back into the vocal booth and clean up the joke because it was too effective at being dirty.
It shows the different standards in different markets, certainly. But it also shows the label, Big Beat, knew they had a massive hit on their hands.
Oh, for sure.
You don't bother paying for studio time to re-record vocals for a song you're going to bury. They wanted this on daytime radio in the UK. They wanted it playing on BBC Radio 1 while people were driving to work.
Absolutely. They saw the potential. And speaking of the label pushing it, we have to talk about the visuals. Because for a song that started as a studio prank, they eventually put some serious budget behind the imagery.
There were actually 2 videos, which is another sign of the label trying to figure out how to market this unexpected hit.
Right. The first one premiered in July 2010. It was directed by Armin Jarahian. The source material describes it as having a magical fairy tale theme.
Which is a choice.
Yeah.
Considering the lyrics are literally about lingerie and blindfolds, a fairy tale seems like a massive disconnect.
Maybe a very specific, weird kind of fairy tale. But clearly, the team felt they needed a course correction. Because in November, we get the official video. And this is the one that I think most people remember when they think of the song. It really established her look.
This is where we see the pop star packaging in full force. We see Gordon in various costumes, lots of dramatic makeup, and a really heavy rotation of wigs.
The wigs were iconic. There's the look with the 2 short pigtails. Then there's the long black wig with the reddish-purple bangs. And then the switch to the yellow dress with the yellow bangs.
It's very visual, very high energy. It matches that electropop vibe perfectly. It signals to the viewer, I am not an acoustic songwriter holding a guitar. I am a dance artist.
But there is one scene in that second video that definitely got people talking. The bridge scene.
Yes. The video cuts to Gordon, and she appears to be completely naked with short, uncut hair.
It was a bold move. It's vulnerable, but also extremely provocative.
And effective. The video on her official channel has over 11 million views. And there's a re-upload by a channel called TV Neon that has over 13 million views, so people were definitely watching.
It did its job.
Exactly. That image helped shed the songwriter for Mary J. Blige persona and replace it with Wynter Gordon, the solo star.
So we have the Happy Accident song, we have the controversial lyrics that need censoring, we have the high-concept video with the wigs. Now we have to ask, what does this all mean for her career? How did it actually perform? Because you can have all the buzz in the world, but did it sell?
It was a massive success, but the geography of that success is really interesting to look at. In the U.S., it hit #1 on the Billboard Hot Dance Club Songs chart in July 2010.
#1. That is the pinnacle for a dance track in the States.
It took the top spot from Alexis Jordan and was eventually succeeded by Goldfrapp. That is incredibly good company to be in for a debut dance single.
But if we look internationally, it goes from club hit to actual cultural phenomena.
Specifically in Australia. Australia absolutely loved this song.
Walk us through that, because the trajectory there is wild.
So it wasn't an instant smash out of the gate. It debuted at number 77 on the ARIA chart in December 2010, a pretty slow start. But then the club started playing it, the word of mouth kicked in. Over 4 weeks, it just kept climbing.
Slow and steady.
Right. It cracked the top 10, and by January 2011, it hit number 1.
Number 1 in the entire country.
And it stayed there for 3 weeks. It was eventually certified 3X Platinum. That represents shipments of over 210,000 units. For a debut solo single that started as a studio joke, that is incredible.
That is wild. What about the UK? We know they had the censored daytime radio version. Did that actually help?
It certainly didn't hurt. It peaked at number 25 on the singles chart, which is a solid top 40 hit. But on the UK dance chart, it hit number 6. And the sources note that it remains a popular anthem in Britain's nightclubs. It was certified gold there.
So it had real staying power.
It did. And in Ireland, it rose from number 30 all the way to number 8, so it was a legitimate European hit as well.
One thing I noticed in the production notes was the sheer volume of remixes. It felt like every DJ under the sun took a crack at this song.
That was a deliberate strategy by the label, Big Beat. And it's a really smart one for this genre. You look at the list of producers. Laidback Luke, Chufu, Kim Fay, Hagenar, and Albrecht.
I saw Dirty Talk remixes, EP Part 1 and a Part 2.
Exactly. By flooding the market with high-quality remixes from respected DJs, you ensure the song stays in rotation in the clubs. If the original mix is getting a little stale, the Laidback Luke remix gives it a second wind. It keeps the song on the dance floor for months, which drives those sales and streams.
It's so interesting to think about the contrast between the joke of the creation and the machine of the distribution. Like, Wynter and Nicole are laughing about hot wax in the studio, and then a few months later, there's a highly strategic rollout with 9 different remixes and a gold certification in the UK.
It connects back to what Digital Spy said in their review. They compared her to Robin S. and Ultra Nate. These are absolute legends in the dance world.
Oh yeah, Show Me Love by Robin S. is iconic. To be compared to that on your debut.
It suggests that even though they were just goofing around, they tapped into the fundamental DNA of house music. The high NRG chorus, as the review called it, is timeless. It doesn't actually matter if you wrote it seriously or not. If it makes people move, it works.
It clearly worked.
Yeah.
It's funny, looking back at the critical reception, it was almost universally positive regarding the fun factor. Nobody was analyzing it for deep philosophical meaning, but everyone agreed it was a total banger.
About.com said it gets you into the groove. That is the mission statement of a song like this. If it achieves that, it's a success.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about finding her lane. The source material mentions she had been writing genre-varied songs before this, but with Dirty Talk, she felt she had finally found her lane in dance music.
That is a key takeaway from all of this. Sometimes artists struggle because they are trying to fit into a mold that isn't quite right, or they are being too versatile. By letting go and just having fun with a dance track, Gordon discovered that this was where her voice truly shone. She actually mentions that there's nothing like having your own song compared to just being a feature on a Flo Rida track.
It must be such a vindication. You spend years writing for Mary J. Blige, which is an honor, obviously. But to have your own voice, singing your own silly lyrics, screaming from the radio in Australia, that has to feel completely different.
And to have it be the song that defines your breakout. It set the tone for her album, With the Music I Die. It signaled to the industry, I am a dance artist now.
So when we look at Dirty Talk by Wynter Gordon, we're not just looking at a catchy song about lingerie. We're looking at the power of play.
I think that's the headline here. Creativity is a strange beast. Sometimes trying too hard actually kills the vibe.
Yeah.
You can overthink a song into oblivion.
Right. You stifle it, you polish all the edges off until it's boring.
Exactly. But when you allow yourself to play, to be silly, to pull up random words on a computer just to make your friend laugh, you bypass your internal critic. You access something authentic. And in this case, that authenticity resonated with millions of people around the world.
From a studio joke to a triple platinum record, it is a pretty good trajectory.
It raises a provocative question for me, though, that I think is worth chewing on.
Lay it on us.
If we accept that this massive hit was effectively an accident, a byproduct of goofing around, how much of the other art we consume and revere was also just a happy accident?
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Right. We ascribe so much intent to artists. We analyze their lyrics, we write essays on their choices, we dissect the deeper meanings of their work. But what if, more often than we think, They were just having a laugh in the studio. What if the deep meaning we find is something we put there, not something they actually intended?
That is something to chew on. Next time you are listening to your favorite song or looking at a piece of abstract art, you have to ask yourself, was this a master plan or were they just Googling words and having a really good time?
It might be better if it was the latter.
I think I agree. Sometimes the best things happen when you aren't trying quite so hard. Well, that is all we have for this deep dive into Dirty Talk. Hopefully this encourages you to go out and find your own happy accidents. Thanks for listening.